Camila Torres adjusted the straps on her heels as the elevator glided toward the 39th floor of Sterling Dynamics. The towering skyscraper sliced through the Manhattan skyline, its glass panels flashing in the afternoon sun. She was still trying to acclimate to it. The dizzying speed, the relentless pressure, the intoxicating wealth that lingered in the air like expensive cologne. But she had done it. From her cramped one-bedroom in the Bronx, she'd climbed her way into the center of one of New York's most powerful corporations. Day 3, she whispered under her breath, her reflection sharp in the chrome finish of the elevator doors. Don't blow this. The soft chime signaled her arrival. The doors slid open, revealing a vast modern workspace. Black steel desks, marble floors, vertical gardens climbing geometric frames. It was sleek, dramatic, unmistakably deliberate. Dorian Sterling, the CEO himself, wasn't a man who left details to chance. His company wasn't just run, it was curated, efficient, exact, commanding. Camila passed the executive lounge and reached her desk, positioned just outside his office. The space was unusually quiet. Most of the staff had already left. A board meeting downtown had kept Dorian occupied, which gave her rare breathing room to sort through the tangle of files she'd inherited from her predecessor. But first, a problem. A spill earlier in the break room had ruined her emerald green dress, the brown streak of coffee glaring across the front. She had stashed a backup outfit in her locker and remembered a small private dressing room tucked behind the lounge, a space left behind after a recent product shoot. She assumed no one used it anymore. Camila slipped inside, shutting the door softly behind her. The room was warm with golden light, mirrors lining the walls, a white velvet chaise angled in the corner. A clothing rack leaned against the far side. She exhaled and unzipped the stained dress, letting it slide to the floor, then reached for her backup wrap dress. Sliding one arm into the sleeve, she froze as the door creaked open. And then she saw him, Dorian Sterling, tall, imposing, file folder in hand. His storm blue eyes widened for just a fraction of a second. For less than 2 beats, they were locked in each other's gaze, her bare shoulder exposed, his presence filling the doorway like gravity itself. Then he vanished, the door clicking shut behind him. Silence. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She pulled the dress on in frantic motions, cheeks blazing as if set aflame. Why hadn't I locked the door? Why hadn't he knocked? When she finally stepped out, his office light spilled into the hallway, the door left slightly ajar. She forced her feet to move, knocking once. Come in, his low, steady voice called. Inside, Dorian stood near the floor-to-ceiling window, the fading light framing him in sharp silhouette. His sleeves were rolled to the elbows, his vest unbuttoned, the picture of composed dominance. I'm sorry about earlier, Camila stammered, clutching her clipboard like armor. I didn't realize anyone— You assumed it was unused, he interjected calmly, turning toward her. His face was unreadable, sharp angles in the dim light. You were correct. I only stepped in to grab a file. I should have knocked. He hesitated, then added quietly, I didn't see much. Just enough to know you handled yourself differently than most would. That startled her. Differently, she echoed. You didn't panic, he said, the faintest curve tugging at the corner of his mouth. Most people would have shrieked, hidden, maybe burst into apologies. You steadied yourself. His eyes lingered. That kind of composure is rare. She drew in a careful breath, suppressing the tension tightening in her chest. Maybe I'm just used to chaos. Another pause. Then he stepped closer, his presence carrying heat with it. I never intended to make you uncomfortable. I want to be clear about that. I know, she replied softly, forcing herself to meet his gaze. Something flickered there, something she couldn't quite name. He had always seemed untouchable, precise, almost cold, a man who built empires brick by brick without ever revealing a crack. But now, standing this close, his eyes betrayed something restrained, yet burning beneath the surface. When Camila finally returned to her apartment, her roommate Sophia was already sprawled on the couch, face mask on and wine glass in hand. "Girl, you look like you just saw a ghost," Sophia said, sitting up when she noticed Camilla's expression. "You good?" Camila dropped her bag by the door and sank into the armchair. "Not a ghost." My boss saw me changing. Sophia choked on her wine. "What?" "I thought I was alone," Camila explained, groaning into her hands. The dressing space by the lounge, it looked abandoned. He walked in. Was he a creep about it? No. Camila frowned. That's the weird part. He was respectful, quiet, and left right away. But her voice faltered. The way he looked at me after. It wasn't just as an assistant. It was like... Sophia raised her brows. Like a man looking at a woman? Camila sighed. Exactly. Her roommate whistled low. Girl, this is either a disaster waiting to happen or the script of a Netflix series. Camila laughed despite herself. Maybe both. Meanwhile, several floors above the sleeping city, Dorian Sterling stood on the balcony of his penthouse, a glass of bourbon in hand. The skyline shimmered, headlights streaking across bridges like molten veins of gold. Yet his thoughts weren't on the city. He couldn't stop replaying the image of her. Not just her body, though the glimpse had branded itself in his mind with agonizing clarity. But her calm, her refusal to shrink, her composure where most would have dissolved. He hadn't seen embarrassment in her eyes, he'd seen fire. It stirred something in him he hadn't felt in years, not since Claudia. And that had ended in betrayal, scandal, and $1 million settlement. Since then, he'd sworn off anything resembling entanglement, especially with someone in his company. But Camila Torres was different, and that terrified him, because Dorian Sterling was not a man who looked twice, and tonight he'd looked back. Twice. The next morning, Camila walked into the office with fresh curls, red lipstick, and her head held high. She refused to be remembered as the girl the CEO accidentally walked in on. She'd fought too hard, sacrificed too much, to let one awkward moment define her. "Morning, Camila," Jasper, one of the junior strategists, said with a friendly grin. "You're glowing today." "Maybe I finally slept," she quipped, sliding into her seat. But her smile faltered the second the elevator doors opened. Dorian Sterling stepped out, charcoal grey suit, collar undone, no tie, effortless power in motion. His eyes swept the room once, landing on her. The glance lasted a flicker, barely a second, but it burned enough to make her drop her gaze. In meetings, he was all composure, brilliant, calculated, cold steel. But between PowerPoints and strategy talks, she caught it. The pauses when he looked at her, the subtle tightening of his jaw when Jasper leaned too close to whisper something. And every glance lingered just a heartbeat too long. By the end of the day, the air between them was charged like a brewing summer storm. "Mr. Sterling wants to see you," Lorraine, the senior secretary, told Camila as she packed her things. Camila hesitated. "He's in the conference room alone," Lorraine added knowingly. "Of course he is." She knocked once before stepping inside. Dorian stood at the massive window, city lights blazing beyond him. He didn't turn at first, only said, "Sit." She did. "I've reviewed your internal reports," he said finally, facing her. "You're overqualified for this role." Camila blinked. "Excuse me? I've seen your education, your side projects, Even the sketches you left in the printer. Her spine stiffened. Those were personal. They were good. He countered. Damn good. You don't belong behind a desk managing my calendar. You should be leading. I applied because I needed the job. And I'm offering you more. He stepped closer. Not too close, but enough to feel his heat. We're launching a new fashion initiative. The Genesis Project. Sustainable, local, minority-focused. I want your vision. Her breath caught. Why me? Because you don't flinch, he said quietly. And because I haven't stopped thinking about you since that night. Her heart slammed hard. I know this could be seen as inappropriate, he added. But I'm not asking you to sleep with me. I'm asking you to trust me. I see your talent and I want it on my team. She rose slowly. And if I say no, you keep your job, he said softly. But I'll regret it. Her eyes searched his face for arrogance, for traps. She found none. I'll think about it, she whispered, and walked out. 2 weeks later, the Genesis Project was unveiled at a gala inside the glass house, a glittering spectacle of steel, velvet gowns, and whispered power. Camila stood among it all, no longer invisible. She wore a black silk gown that hugged her figure, a thigh-high slit revealing golden legs, her natural curls pinned back with gilded combs. She didn't just belong, she commanded the room. Across the floor, Dorian nearly forgot to breathe. She hadn't shown him the final dress, hadn't warned him. And now he couldn't look away. Others noticed too, especially Logan Devereaux, an arrogant executive with old money and a reputation for pushing too far. Well, well, Logan smirked at the champagne table. Didn't know assistants cleaned up this well. What's the secret? Sleeping your way in? Camilla's smile didn't falter. No, Logan. Just working twice as hard as people like you. He chuckled. Feisty. I like it. She said she's not interested. Dorian's voice cut in, cold as steel. Logan spun around, surprised, then uncomfortable as Dorian stepped between them. Find another target before I make you regret it. Logan muttered something about power trips and slinked off. You didn't have to do that, Camila said quietly. Actually, I did. He offered her his arm. Walk with me. On the rooftop terrace, beneath a canopy of city lights, his voice dropped. You're stunning. You know that, don't you? Camila exhaled. I thought we agreed to keep this professional. We did. Then what was that inside? He hesitated, stepping closer. I'm trying, Camila. I'm trying to be the man who deserves to work beside you, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't want more. She studied him, eyes steady. So what happens now? You pull me in, then drop me when it gets complicated? I lose my job. My name, no. His voice firm. You set the pace. You tell me what's real. If it's nothing, I'll accept it. But I won't lie to you. For a moment, neither spoke. Then she kissed him, slow, testing, like striking a match. And when it caught, it burned. The weeks that followed weren't chaos. They were clarity. Dorian didn't press, didn't corner her with late-night texts or unwanted invitations. He showed up every day at work, collected, professional, except everything had changed. His eyes sought hers in meetings. He listened when she spoke. Really listened. And her designs were suddenly championed at the highest levels. The Genesis Project debuted at a private gallery in Soho. Camila wore a sleek, off-shoulder jumpsuit she designed herself. Unapologetic. Powerful. You okay? Dorian asked before the showcase began. Better than okay, she replied. I'm ready. The show unfolded, models of every shade and size walking in her garments, Afrocentric patterns fused with futuristic silhouettes. The crowd erupted, Investors applauded. Fashion blogs whispered her name. When Camila stepped out for her bow, the applause swelled. Cameras flashed. And in the front row, Dorian Sterling stood clapping harder than anyone. Months later, whispers circled the industry. Camila Torres wasn't just Sterling's assistant anymore. She was a rising designer, a voice, a name. Dorian stood by her through it all, not possessive, not controlling, just steady, just present. One afternoon, he entered her office holding a rolled blueprint. "Another project?" she teased. "No," he said softly. "It's a studio in Soho. For you. Rent paid. Your name on the door." She froze. "But I'm still with Sterling Dynamics." "You don't have to leave," he said. "But I want you to build your future your way, even if it means watching you fly without me." Her heart pounded. "You want me to choose you, but you're not afraid to let me go?" "Because love shouldn't feel like a cage," he whispered. "It should feel like wings." She kissed him then, gentle, deep, certain. 6 months later, Camila launched her own line. The Genesis project expanded to Paris. A scholarship was created for young black designers. And the fashion world knew a new name, Camila Torres, founder, creator, muse. In an interview, when asked how it all began, she smiled. "It started when my boss walked in on me changing," she said, lips curving. "But he wasn't just looking at my body. He saw me. And somehow that changed everything." Morning sunlight filled their loft kitchen, cinnamon and vanilla thick in the air. Camila stood barefoot at the stove, curls piled into a messy bun, one of Dorian's shirts draped over her frame. Her belly rounded beneath the fabric, 6 months pregnant. "I thought I was cooking today," Dorian's sleepy voice teased as he wrapped his arms around her from behind. She smiled, leaning into him. "I got hungry. Call it self-defense." He chuckled against her neck. "I've created a monster." "No," she said, turning to kiss him softly. "You created a safe place. For me, for us, for everything we never thought we deserved." The buzzer rang, followed by her younger cousin's voice. "Camila, I brought the fabric you wanted." She laughed. "My assistant has arrived." Dorian smirked. "Do I need to start paying him?" He said pancakes are enough. As Dorian buzzed him in, he glanced back at her. "You know, sometimes I still think about that day." "The day you walked in on me changing?" she teased. He grinned. "The most unexpected moment of my life, and the best thing that ever happened to me." Camila laughed, leaning into him. "It was supposed to be my worst moment. But I guess fate had better plans." He rested his forehead against hers. "I didn't just fall in love with you that day. I finally saw someone unafraid to be seen. And I stayed." Their laughter mingled with the morning light, soft and full. On the counter, her sketchbook closed in the breeze. On the back, written in ink, "Caught in a moment. Forever." If you made it all the way to the end of this story, I just want to say a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your time, attention, and support mean the world to me. And it's because of readers like you that Boundless Echoes continues to grow. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boundless Echoes. Every click, comment, and share helps us bring even more powerful and inspiring stories your way. Your support is more than numbers. It's the heartbeat of this community. Until the next story, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep echoing boundlessly.